Good afternoon. Will the portfolio secretary just inform me as to whether we are a quorum?
Good afternoon, Chair. Yes, we are a quorum with Mr. Khabo joining us now.
Just space myself into the right position. Good afternoon, honorable members. Thank you for your time and that we can meet amid the fact that we have such a very busy program. We will deal today with a briefing by the department on the two international agreements tabled in terms of section 231(3) of the Constitution, the Audiovisual Co-production Agreement between South Africa and Canada, and also Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation relating to the Roads to Independence African Liberation Program between South Africa and Angola. Members will then also give an opportunity to deliberate, ask questions of clarity, and following that, we will deal with the minutes and then closure. May I, honorable members, have a proposal that we may proceed with the meeting in this fashion?
Yes, Honorable Chair, I propose we can go ahead with the meeting.
Thank you so much. That is a proposal and was Honorable Musa. Is there a seconder? Welcome to Just Speak. No seconder. This meeting then cannot proceed any further. Honorable members.
Chairperson, I will second.
Thank you. It's the only way that I can activate members. Thank you, Honorable Potgieter. We need this information. It is a very, if I may use the word, strange agenda in front of us, but most importantly, so a very important agenda for the sake of the country. Honorable members, I see a hand, Honorable Molatani.
Chairperson, good afternoon and my apology, Chair. I don't know what was happening with my gadget. I could hear you, but I couldn't be able to raise the hand and so forth. So I didn't want to be to just shout as if I'm from the mountain, Chairperson. Chairperson, you know, if you allow me, can you allow me to be out of order for only 1 minute?
Yes, please do.
My out of order, Chair, I've been thinking after the Tuesday meetings where we find out that there are entities which did not get their 2025-2026 allocation. I'm just asking myself how many entities, apart from SASCOC as well as CSA, which did not get their entities, their allocation, Chairperson. I think, Chairperson, I don't know, but you'll just guide me. This matter, we need to take it up because we need to get the report. Where did they take that money to? Because when they report on the APP, they've said that all entities received their allocation, only to find that there are entities which did not receive their allocation. I'm not sure if the CFO is part of this meeting or not. With your guidance, Chairperson, thank you.
Honorable Molatani, due to the veracity of the case and the issue at hand, I am happy to add your point as a point 5 as an urgent matter that we can perhaps also in the meantime try and source and find out where the CFO is. And then point 6 will then be closure. Are you happy with that?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm happy. Thank you very much.
Is there any member that is standing opposed to that? If none, we will then proceed with our meeting. Can we assess Portfolio Secretary as to whether there is any apologies?
Good day, Chair, members again. Chair, we have an apology from the Minister. He is attending the inaugural Basketball Africa League in Rwanda. We also have a standing apology for the DG who today she's in Angola to attend the RASA. Thank you, Chair. Those are the two apologies.
That all from the side of members, anyone aware of his or her colleague that might not attend or be able to attend later? If none, thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, we have a very interesting point on the agenda. And like I have said, it is important to have agenda items of this nature that fulfill our oversight. If you think about the fact that we will soon perhaps go on a study tour, oversights, and to some of the overseas countries. But it is indeed for me a first time, and a first time also to say welcome to this very important space that we are reaching here today in terms of agreements between the countries that I have mentioned. It is actually for me, if you think about it, I just had a discussion today earlier on with Honorable Daniels to say that this is a space actually where our oversight actually meets the imagination when it comes to governance, and it also meet the heartbeat for those who was able to attend the 55th celebration at Artscapes on Tuesday. Now, meetings like this remind us that our work is not a normal routine. It is also not sacred, although soon, when engaging with Jabu earlier on, we will have soon also a very important meeting in camera where we will discuss very serious issues pertaining to forensic audits. It is the stewardship of our nation's spirit through sport, arts, and culture. Today's agenda carries that profound meaning for me. This is about the agreements between South Africa and Canada, also between South Africa and Angola. They are more diplomatic instruments, or rather more diplomatic in nature. They are also bridges of the creative space, Honorable Mtetwa, of the creative solidarity, and it affirms the stories of South Africa, the stories of our struggles, and also, the stories of our triumphs that we as a collective in South Africa can share across the continent. The Audiovisual Co-production Agreement with Canada opens doors for our filmmakers. It opened doors for storytellers and also cultural entrepreneurs to collaborate globally. It tells stories that has international reach in it, and also international integrity in that. So it is important that we have this kind of meetings. It is important that in terms of the law that we should, interrogate and see whether those agreements are intact. And also the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation relating to the roads to the independence with Angola reminds us of liberation is not a closed chapter, but it's also a living narrative that continues to inspire most of us, to inspire generations. And as we deliberate and listen to the department today, let us do this with conviction. Let us do this with some clarity, and let us ensure that every decision that we may take and that it be transparent, that it be accountable, and also that the values of transformation that we as parliamentarians upholds be intact. In our discussion today, or should I say listening to the department today, I want to say that unity should build us, the identity must build us, and there must be continuity when it comes to this. Together, let us acknowledge that this meeting or this information will actually form a model to numerous objectives pertaining to our legacy as a nation who believes in freedom, who believes in fairness, who believes in opportunity. In our case today, who believes in creativity and also in faith. So may our actions in terms of what we will observe, echo the hopes of our nation across every community that we serve. Honorable members, with that said, I would now invite the department to brief us on these various agreements. The Department of Sports, Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, colleagues. I'll just show my face and then so that the members can be assured that it's me who is on the platform. I'm switching off. If we could be allowed to maybe share the presentation.
Mr. Ndima, you've been given sharing rights.
Okay, I'm trying to open it.
Another agreement with between us and the department that is
Thank you
sharing
very
rights.
much. Thank you very much. I think I'm up. Yes, let me just take I'm putting it on a slideshow. Once again, thank you very much, Chairperson, honorable members of the committee. Yes, we are going to be discussing two MOUs, for the lack of a better word, which is about South Africa-Canada Audiovisual Co-production Treaty, as well as the MOU on cooperation relating to the Road to Independence African Liberation Program between South Africa and Angola. Starting with the first one, it is important to indicate that South Africa and Canada share very strong and multifaceted relations rooted in historical support against apartheid, deep cooperation in trade, investment, science, education, and culture, members of the Commonwealth, country of nations, on global issues like climate action, with ongoing talks focusing on strategic economic growth, critical minerals, and tourism. And we know also that the Canada Agreement is one of the most active agreements we have with any other country, second to Germany. This was signed in 1997, and it has since realized 30 projects. And over the last 5 years, two countries have produced at least one co-production each year. The NFVF Canada Media Fund was established in 2018, geared towards television series, inclusive of fiction, non-fiction, and animation. 3 projects are approved every year under the Media Fund. When it comes to audiovisual film production, we have an audiovisual co-production which was updated in September 2024 at Fame Week Africa to boost film, TV, animation, and new media collaboration. This co-production is building on the treaty that was signed in 1997. And this amendment was actually necessitated by the changing landscape in the film industry. These changes are to include new media and augmented reality, amongst others. This pact makes co-productions eligible for national incentives in both countries, fostering investment and accessing wider markets for producers from both nations. What are the benefits to South Africa? It's access for South African films and television productions to the Canadian market, North America, and secondary markets they wouldn't have ordinarily accessed. Job creation, exposure of South African locations, studios, and other infrastructure to the rest of the world, so that the rest of the world can see how beautiful our country is, how beautiful our geographical landscape is. Foreign direct investment into South African film and television industry, and South Africa by extension. Access of South Africa personnel to big budget and international productions. Exposure of South African indigenous languages to global markets, promotion of South African heritage to the rest of the world, opportunity for South Africa productions to be entered into big film festivals such as Cannes, Berlin, Rome, and Toronto. Also, it is about the training opportunities for young filmmakers and historically disadvantaged individuals. The status of the co-production treaty. Canada has completed its ratification. The diplomatic note was sent from Canada's High Commission to South Africa through DECO in December 2025. Canada has received South Africa's diplomatic note. According to Article 16.1 of the agreement will enter into force on the first day of the first month following the date of receipt of the last notification. It has come into force by January 1, 2026, and also Canada has sent a diplomatic note to DECO to state the understanding of the entry into force.
Mr. Ndima, I see, thank you. Can you perhaps on the next statement enlarge the presentation's view? It seems that there is members indicating that it's very small, if that is possible.
Chair,
Please
it is in slideshow. I don't know how big I can better than this, Chairperson.
Okay, that's fine.
Unless someone then does, and I take mine off, and then someone else maybe puts, and then I'll use mine for myself, and then the one who's going to be projecting will be using it for the committee.
No, that's fine. I am lucky with my gadget and touch screen. I can just enlarge it with my finger
Chair?
How does it look now, Chair?
Can I assist?
Please do.
It's much better now. When he's got it on presentation view, it's showing big on his screen, but on our screen it shows his margins. So it makes it very small. This is completely visible.
Now. Agree.
Yeah.
So it's fine, Honorable Potgieter now.
Yes, it's double the size now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you. I'm sorry about the first part. Now, briefing to Portfolio Committee on the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation relating to the Roads to Independence African Liberation Program between South Africa and Angola. I'm not going to spend time on the table of contents, but I think it's very important to then talk to the background, where I indicate that the two presidents, our Honorable President Ramaphosa and His Excellency President João Lorenzo of Angola, signed an agreement during President João Lorenzo's visit to South Africa in December 2024. And the main purpose there was to strengthen their bilateral ties with collaborating amongst others on the road to independence, African liberation heritage. The cooperation involves the rehabilitation and construction of a monument at the Viana camp in Luanda, a historical site that supported South African freedom fighters, as well as the repatriation of the remains of struggle stalwarts. And I must also indicate that this also gave an opportunity for the president to begin to address some of the outstanding matters dating back to 1994, where the military veterans had undertaken that they would also want to ensure that their compatriots would be brought back home and be buried at home. And of course, the military veterans presented a memorandum of grievances to His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa in November 2019. And this was in pursuit of that promise that they had made, that when the South Africa is free, they would ensure that the remains of the stalwarts will be brought back to the country. And the President of the Republic of South Africa immediately established a presidential task team to address all issues that were raised by military veterans. And the task team is chaired by His Excellency Deputy President Mashatile. The Department of Military Veterans and the department co-chair a work stream called Heritage Memorialization and Burial Support Work Stream. It is one of the 6 work streams established under the Presidential Task Team. But for the purpose of this presentation, I'll just focus on the Heritage Memorialization and Burial Support Work Stream. This slide, Chairperson and honorable members, it just gives a global context of roads to independence, that it was endorsed was adopted in 2005 at the 33rd General Conference of UNESCO, recognizing struggle heritage as being of universal value and significance. And subsequent to that, in 2011, the 16th Ordinary Session of the African Union also endorsed it. And the United Republic of Tanzania's mandate was then broadened with the responsibility of establishing a continental instead of a regional African Liberation Heritage Program in Dar es Salaam, with, of course, the support from the AU Commission. So, in pursuit of this, as South Africa, we then presented the South African Roads to Independence chapter, now named the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route, to Cabinet in 2011. And Cabinet established the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Interministerial Committee. Now, I also just want to indicate why then, because it started as a Liberation Heritage Route and then ending up being a Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route. This was in realization, Honorable Chairperson, that the fight against colonialism did not start with the formal liberation or political parties like the African National Congress, but that the fight against colonialism dates back to the 1500s, when the Portuguese landed on our shores. So that's why, and all the Eastern Frontier Wars, we are recognizing them as part of the struggle for our freedom. So it's very important to indicate that the Resistance and Liberation IMC has evolved over the years and currently is constituted by 12 ministries, which we can share if needs be, but in the interest of time. So now the focus here is going to be on Angola and the repatriation of human remains. I must say that this, Honorable Chairperson, is at the behest also of families. We spoke about military veterans, but we didn't speak about families who are also looking for closure through the repatriation of the mortal remains of their loved ones. And Chairperson, this has been happening outside policy before 2021. Chairperson might recall some of the repatriations that happened before 2021, such as Babu Moses Kotane, JP Marx, Net Nakasa, and many others. But there was no policy. Then there was a decision that there should be policy, and We're glad that that policy was then approved by Cabinet in 2021. It provides a framework and coordination mechanism for undertaking the repatriation and restitution of human remains and objects. Implementing this shared mandate as co-chairs of the Heritage Memorialization and Burial Support Workstream, one of the 6 workstreams established under the PTT, the DSEC and DMV successfully repatriated the human remains of liberation fighters from Zambia and Zimbabwe in 2024. There was a reception ceremony led by the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans at Waterkloof, which was a historic moment for South Africa, which preceded the homecoming ceremony, which was presided over by His Excellency President Ramaphosa. I think it was on the 27th of September, 2024. All these events contribute a step closer to facilitating closure for the affected families and the country. I must also indicate that we now have developed a detailed 5-year implementation plan with activities and timelines specific to each country. And the plan, I must also emphasize this, Chairperson, that it takes into account possibilities of changes and amendments depending on domestic legislation and requirements. So the identified countries for 2025, 26 are Angola, Lesotho, Zambia, and Zimbabwe.
Acting DG.
Yes.
I'm not too sure whether it's just myself, but the presentation hasn't moved.
I don't know whether if other members can confirm that, Chair.
For as long as the presentation was presented, it's not moved.
It's not moving.
Not at all.
But mine is moving.
I think it should be another one, because the one that is showing now is already by thank you, page 6.
Okay. From my side, it is moving, Chair.
Share it on the Zoom instrument.
Let me ask Lodwick, please assist. If you can please go to slide 6, because that's where I was, and hoping that everyone is with me. If you could please, let me then just go and just check that I stopped sharing and I allow my colleague to then do that.
There we go, page 7, page 12. Please proceed.
You can see now.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I was talking about the plan, Chairperson, that it's flexible, given the fact that we cannot prescribe in terms of the legislative frameworks of other countries. Then the time, sometimes we plan that we will be going to this country, but sometimes they're not there. So we are very flexible in terms of how we sort of manage this plan, understanding our core function, of course, of ensuring that we are able to bring about closure. And then during the 26-27 financial year, the team will finalize the Angolan work and focus on Tanzania, Uganda, Eswatini, and Mozambique. As was the approach during the 2024 Zambia and Zimbabwe repatriation process, the human remains will continue to be fetched by our partner department and be brought to South Africa through the defense aircraft. Furthermore, the remains will be transported in boxes covered by South African flags. Then upon arrival, the remains will be kept in storage at one military hospital, awaiting the homecoming ceremony, which will be presided over by the president. I must also indicate, Chairperson, that there are challenges that we often encounter with laboratories. However, the laboratory of the missing person task team will be used for storage of the remains, which, due to complex and challenging grave identification and recovery environments, will be subjected to forensic investigation to ensure that at a later stage the remains are linked to and handed over to the correct families. I must say that this is a sensitive matter, Chairperson, because whenever you have recovered these remains, you must be sure that you take the remains to the correct family. Otherwise, the families are subjected to re-traumatization. So last year, a technical team visited Angola on 13 July to 4 August 2025 to conduct identification, mapping, and survey of graves of cadres who perished in Angola during the liberation struggle, as well as to conduct a comprehensive condition assessment for the refurbishment of the Vienna transit camp and align with the exhibition development. Now, here is the slide 7, which indicates technical visit outcomes to different cemeteries in Angola and different regions. For instance, in Angola, Luanda, we've gone to look at graves like Alto das Cruzes Cemetery, Santa Ana Cemetery, Mulemba, and you can see the numbers, Chairperson, where we were able to identify some of the graves, and also moving to the northern province, all those places that have been mentioned there, Kashito Camp, where we only identify 1 grave, Pango Camp, 8 graves, second grave at Pango, and then Camp 2, there were no graves. Kibashe Town Cemetery, no graves identified. Piri, 23 possible graves were located for exhumation. And Camp 13, Kibashe, no graves were located for exhumation yet. And then going to the Eastern Province, Kwela, 2 graves. Malanje Town Cemetery, 14 graves. Kakuso, 8 possible graves. Kakulama, the 0 camp layout still need to be constructed because it's been a while since these happened. So confirmed minimum is 48 graves. Confirmed maximum possible, it's 89 graves.
The presentation is stuck again.
I'm raising this matter, Chairperson, so that the committee can appreciate the complexity of this particular project, because some recovery environments are so difficult to deal with, and at some point other parts they recycle graves after 5 years. So
Mr.
it is very
Ndima,
important.
my apologies, Mr. Ndima, the presentation is stuck again. And it will be difficult if this is streamed for the public to also follow.
I don't know whether it's a network problem, Chairperson, where I am. I'm in the department though, but I don't know why, because it's moving this side.
Can we try again?
I am in slide 8. Can the Chairperson see slide 8?
No, slide 12. It actually has the covering page, and then it shows that the intention is to read from slide 12.
Yes. I'll ask my colleague to then take over, Chairperson. I'm sorry about this. I think we've got a network problem this side. But maybe if you allow, Chairperson, I can proceed whilst my colleague is doing the presentation.
Yes. Yeah, maybe if you can proceed and your colleague can just keep track with the presentation and also where you are at the moment.
I can indicate, I see that my colleague has actually shown, if he can go to slide 8, which deals with the refurbishment of the Vienna transit camp.
Still stuck.
He's doing it.
There we go. It's now
So I
on
can proceed.
Yes, please proceed. The page is now page 12. Are you on page?
I am on page
6, page 8.
I've dealt with, so I'm at page 8. If my colleague can just move to page 8.
Yes, we are now at page 8.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that,
Refurbishment
Chairperson.
of the Vienna transit
Yeah.
camp. Thank you,
So,
proceed.
Chairperson, there was a planned binational commission, which I don't think that it has happened, where the president was saying, given the history between South Africa and Angola and the bonds of friendship between the two countries, when he goes to Angola for that binational commission, he would like to at least give honor of some sort. And what was decided upon was that maybe we could look at the Vienna transit camp. Now, the Vienna transit camp, Chairperson, is the place where all people who went to Angola would, that's why it's called transit. They would go there for registration, and then they would then go to the northern, eastern, and southern parts, but they would pass by there. But also, it is a camp where women combatants stayed instead of staying in tents. In tents like where men used to stay, but they were staying in this camp. So the idea was to really refurbish it so that it looks presentable and it be the one that is part of the heritage, our common heritage with Angola. So the refurbishment process will involve developing a plaque and an exhibition, which will be unveiled by the two presidents. The project, of course, was scheduled to be funded by a private sector sponsor, which has business footprints in both countries. However, cost estimates from Angolan ministry were very steep, I must say. When we did our cost estimate, colleagues will come to that. We didn't expect that we would be talking about $3.78 million US dollars, and then the highest amount being $4.24 million US dollars. So you're talking about 50-something million for 3.78 and 4.24, you're talking about 70-something million. And then we realized that, no, this is going to be very expensive. And we then have to look at other options, such as downscaling some refurbishment and exhibition elements, or putting up a less costly monument or a memorial wall somewhere central in the capital city. This is what is being considered for recommendation to the minister, because no private sector person would, just the refurbishment go to an extent of spending that amount of money. So implementation of this element will include signing the MOU with the sponsor, appointing the South African implementing agent, appointing the Angolan contractor, and commencing the refurbishment of the Vienna transit camp. So the next slide, it just shows the cemeteries that have been visited, and the team from both Angola and South Africa, going to different parts of the country. So this really is just a presentation for the portfolio committee to note the amount of work that goes into the process of repatriation, but also some of the attempts to memorialize the activities of the past through refurbishing some infrastructure. And our approach, Chairperson, is simple. We will continue to do whatever is possible to ensure that all the remains are brought back to the country. Where, of course, this is not going to be possible, it should take a form of spiritual repatriation. And also where we are supposed to refurbish any infrastructure, if it is within our means or means of whoever we approach as a private sponsor, we will go ahead. But if it is beyond those means, we'll find other ways that are much more cost effective to ensure that that history and that bonds of friendship between South Africa and Angola is maintained. So we recommend that the portfolio committee note the presentation, notes the progress made by the department in implementing the MOU with Angola in the context of the resistance and liberation heritage and the presidential task team. Thank you very much. Those are the two presentations, Chairperson, and my apologies for the hiccups along the way. It was not intentional. I think it is because of some challenges with connectivity where I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Acting DG. You spoke so eloquently and so passionately about the issue on repatriation. And my mind goes back to a family member of myself, a cousin, and I used to speak about him, talk about him. Patrick McGlure. And as a family, we were lucky. He came back after 20 years and he came back alive. And some of us don't have that opportunity to come back alive. I would like to, on behalf of the committee, acknowledge the mandate that the department has and also commend the department for upholding South Africa's responsibility in facilitating dignified repatriation processes and ensuring that the cultural and human rights remain central. This job warrants accountability. It warrants proper coordination and also not only accountability and coordination, but also integrity that involves the international partners in this, that also reflect the values of the governance that we in South Africa strive and stands and uphold. Heritage is very important, and the return of these processes is very important for the dignity of our country, and it also strengthens the national identity and the global standing and agreements. I'm going to request members, if there's any member that would like to ask a question of clarity, to please proceed. Honorable Malatsani.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, let me also follow in your footsteps of really commending the department for the good work that they have done and that they are going to continue to do in order for the department to ensure that the remains of our leaders are coming back home. You know, us as the Africans, we still believe that we need to know where your late brother, your late sister where is he or she buried? Let me just comment on that. I just want to check with the department chairperson. Only one thing. I want to check with the department that have they ever have an issue where the family is saying that we are able to patriate one of our own with our own finances? Is it possible for the department just to assist with the negotiations between them as well as the country where one it's been buried? You know, the reason I'm asking this, chairperson, is that I think in 2008 we managed to repatriate one of our own from the Molotsane family who was buried in Botswana, and it was a very difficult process because we had to do all those up and down between the embassy of Botswana up until we managed to win that battle of bringing the remains here. So I just want to know, the department, are they able to assist such families who are saying we can afford to pay everything? Yours, it's only to liaise between those two countries. Thank you very much, Chairperson. But all in all, I commend the work that they are doing as the department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, the Honorable Potgieter.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have a few questions. This is not my forte, so if you'll indulge me, I do have a few questions with regards to the presentation. I just want to understand why, as the committee, we're only being asked to note the agreements when both basically creates, financial and implementation obligations. So you've classified them under section 231.3 as opposed to 231.2. And, the state law advisor did give opinions on it. So if you can just advise, why we've been asked to note this and not otherwise interact on it. And whether or not you're able to give us any indication of the financial obligations that flow from these agreements. Because you do state like within available resources, but it kind of gives an open-ended spending commitment rather than an itemized list. Then just on the South African Angola MOU, if we can just be advised on why we are carrying the financial burden for the construction of these monuments and memorials in Angola, and whether or not you've got an estimated total on the costs that are kind of broken up between all of the requirements, from repatriation to the monuments to consultants, etc. And just on the quotes that you got, you said that the Angolan company quotes for the Viana refurbishment, if I'm not mistaken, range from 3.7 to 4.2 US million. Can I get an idea of who sourced those, and whether or not you've independently tested whether that costing is reasonable? And then, Chair, I'm just trying to understand the sort of procurement regulations or law in terms of the bilateral agreement between the companies, which prevents South African or competitive bidders from also being considered. And then there's a mention of a private sector sponsor, if we can possibly get details on that, and whether or not they've already signed an agreement there. And who will be in charge then of appointing implementing agents on the South African side and the contractors on the Angolan side, and which procurement regulations will govern those appointments? I think, DSEC also has got, previous international heritage projects, which includes the Delville Wood concerns, which were flagged in our committee briefing note, to prevent another sort of expensive overseas memorial projects. Have they got mechanisms in place to stop that from happening? Then, just with regards to the repatriation of remains, Chairperson, can we get an idea of how many remains are confirmed and how many are possible and how many are unidentified? So the presentation gives us an idea of the minimum number of graves and a maximum number, which is a very wide range. So it would be good to understand on what basis or what facts they're basing that. And then the forensic process, possibly you can maybe just give us a little bit of an indication of what forensic process being used to do the identification. And I know previously we had this issue with a number of countries where there were international relations issues with regards to the decision on remains being exhumed or being left in countries. So can you just give us an idea of who gets the final decision on whether that happens? Then, Chair, I was a bit curious about the consent process that's followed with families before this is done, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. It's just a sort of curiosity on my side. But can the department confirm they say that the MOU requires Angola to provide what they call landmine maps and risk mitigation strategies. So can they verify if they've received these and if they've integrated it into their project plan? And then, yeah, there were a couple of other things, Chair, but I'll take all week on this because I must say I'm not very knowledgeable on this entire sector, so it's quite interesting for me to learn as we go. But I'll just go to the South Africa-Canada agreement. So they say that the 1997 treaty produced 30 projects, possibly maybe offline, if you can give us a list of what those projects were so we have an understanding of how this sort of partnership works. I'm not expecting you to give me a detailed analysis right now. But I'd also like to understand how many of those projects were South African-led, and whether or not we're just being used as a location or sort of a service production base, as opposed to, really getting South African productions in the spotlight. And whether or not we earn any value in rands from these sort of agreements, and how that compares to your sort of public funding and your incentives, etc., that are usually given in order to support things like this. Then, yeah. So yeah, I think my biggest issue, Chair, and I'll go back to this, that they say that the department and or Canada completed its processes and agreements came into force on the 1st of January 2026. I'm just a bit concerned that we're only being briefed sort of months later if that agreement is already operational, and it actually carries financial and implementation obligations. So really, we should have been briefed at the time that this was happening, I think. Perhaps I'm wrong, and I'm completely open to being corrected. But if I can just get some clarity on that, thank you.
Thank you so much to the Honourable Moletsane and Honourable Potgieter. Very interesting questions. I want to just respond to say to Honourable Potgieter that maybe if the content advisor can come up later on this particular issue and particular question that you have asked pertaining to the fact that we must just note the agreements or report. And I am of the opinion, but the content advisor will carry me through. I am of the opinion that if there is major concerns from the committee, we as a committee can draft a report to the House, because safe to say that the ATC did not require reporting on this particular matter. But I think the committee report can then also go for noting. It's quite an extensive questions from both members. I want the department to respond before I'm going to give an opportunity to Honourable Daniels. The department.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. Maybe just to respond to Honourable Moletsane. Yes, we can assist the families in terms of interaction with different countries. And what is good, Honourable Moletsane, is that even our president has written to all these countries, to assist us as and when we go there with all the policies and the requirements, so that it becomes easy for us to do the work. But I must say, Honourable Moletsane, is that many people prefer the route that we presented to cabinet. The policy was approved in 2021, and then in 2023 we then presented a model which we call it a country-to-country model. And the reason behind that is it's cost-effective. If, say, you go to a particular country and you take all those that are in that country where families have said yes, because I must also say, Honorable Chairperson and members, that we don't just go there and do what we think we should do, but we are guided by the will of the communities. So, in a nutshell, Honorable Muletsane, yes, we can provide that support, but normally people prefer the one where government assists and where this is done really, when, these are actually being received by either the president or deputy president. It brings back the dignity that, this process requires, just in a nutshell. Honorable Potgieter, maybe it could be just a question of language to say no. It doesn't really mean that the committee just have to note and not interact with this. We are accountable to yourselves, and also when we come here, we expect those questions. And in fact, those questions, some of them which are very curved, they really just heightened our consciousness around the project, and also the blind spots that we might be having on the project. So it's not really, it was not meant to say portfolio committee just note and without really interacting with this. We really would appreciate interacting with this. Now, with regards to the Vienna camp, Honorable Potgieter, as I did indicate that the budget was so high, and also we didn't have money as government, but Minister was just trying to see whether people who are having companies in Angola, working in Angola, can then really help to refurbish. As I said in the beginning, it was really just refurbishing. It's like doing a facelift on a house. For instance, the one that I said, it was dormitories for women. The structure is still intact. It does require just that facelift. But when we then got this amount of money, we then realized that no, maybe it's not an easy thing to do to proceed. So we would see what we can do, which is really minimal, because we won't be. Nobody would want to fund that, a project with that kind of money. More particularly, if you look at that budget, you thought, no, you are starting a new structure altogether. So that's why at this point in time, we're really just rethinking in terms of what can be done that can just bring about dignity, but without necessarily, getting, more money being spent on such a project. Yes, the landmines, the Angolan government has confirmed to assist with identifying and demining the area. So that's, we've really just had a very good working relationship with the colleagues from Angola, and they've got their own structures there that are meant to assist us with all the requirements, even if we want the records, the symmetry records and all those kinds of areas. And that's why, Honorable Potgieter, it said that in other areas, we've realized that some graves have been recycled. And I think that that's policy in Luanda in particular, that after some years, they recycle and then they repair. So it becomes very much difficult. That's going to be quite very difficult to get some of our fallen heroes and heroines there. Now, maybe just let me quickly go to the issue of forensic investigations. We are working with the Missing Person Task Team, which is based within the Department of Justice. They have got forensic archaeologists. They are able to detect if there are challenges whenever they have started exhumations because of their training. But in areas where it's not clear at all who is here, then we resort to the DNA testing. As we speak, there are cases that have been sent to Argentina by the Missing Person Task Team to confirm the identities of those people before we can then hand over those to communities. So that's why I'm saying that it's a very complex, very sensitive process, but we are having a Missing Person Task Team which is actually assisting us. Now, the 2024 budget was 7.9 million. That included transport, accommodation, and then homecoming ceremony, and also transporting the remains in the host countries. And I think we can also just send that in writing, Honorable Pretorius, because that's the information that is available that Parliament can actually access. And then the budget over the MTEF 2025-2026 was 9 million, 2026-27, 9.4, and then 2027-2028, 9.8, and then 2028-29 is 10 million. And I think we can also provide those figures. In fact, they are also in our official documents in the department. And I think you have raised also, Honorable Porkita, a very important question, which also was kind of very intriguing to us, the issue of the procurement processes. But given the fact that there was going to be a sponsor, then it would mean that we were not going to do any procurement as government when we do that particular work that we're going to do in Vienna camp, yes. Now, the possible sponsor, colleagues might actually assist me because I can't actually make all those recollections. And then the Honorable Porkita, you have also asked question around projects. There are 30 projects, and we can give the number. In fact, we do have the number here. We can share with the honorable members the number of those projects.
And the value.
Well, we will then, that would require some more work, but the list is here. It's something that can be just sent immediately, Chairperson. The last part, and the colleagues will come in. I think one colleague is just like, I've been given the name of the name of the possible sponsor is Transhex Group operating in Angola. That's the potential sponsor who was willing, Chairperson, but when the price skyrocketed, no, he couldn't because he thought that we were talking about 3 million, 4 million kind of work, but when it came back to be so many millions, he couldn't proceed with that. Now, I just wanted, just the last part, Chairperson, that the question would be, why would you even go to Argentina for this DNA testing? We thought that this thing was going to be very easy, Chairperson, but we only found out that South Africa does not have expertise in identifying the old bones for samples. South Africans are much more, it's easy for them to deal with bones. We still have got tissues, wet bones. But the bones that we are talking about, Chairperson, they really tried, there's nothing in terms of the tissue. So the only place that the Missing Person Task Team identified was the place in Argentina. So, but Chairperson, I would want to stop here, and then if colleagues might want to come in on matters that I might have missed. Thank you.
Yes, there are, I think, two matters outstanding. The one of the agents responsible, and if I understood the member correctly, she also wants clarity why service providers in South Africa cannot be used. And another outstanding issue, very importantly so, it is the operational agreements 2026.
Okay. If I could, if through you, Chairperson, if maybe colleagues Masana or Zimasa from your side, if you could please talk to that. But maybe before colleagues can come in this case, Chair, the thinking that we had was if you have a sponsor that wants to go and do work in other countries, of course, there's always difficulty when you have to now get contractors moving from South Africa to go and do work in Angola. And maybe that's one of the things that we might have to do. You know, Chairperson, even here in this country, whenever we've got projects, we make it a point that if the project is in Mpumalanga, there is an arrangement that CFO, Mpumalanga, please procure from your database, because when you take a company from Johannesburg, you take that company to Mbuzini, it becomes a big issue. And it's worse now when you are talking at the level of the country. But it's one area to explore, Honorable Chairperson. But colleagues, if they can speak to the other matters that have been raised that we have not responded to on the agreement, Canada. Thank you.
Good afternoon, honorable members, acting DGs and colleagues. On the issue of the operations of the film production treaty, we do have updated information on progress since the ratification of the agreement. It was unfortunate that at the time when the presentation was shared to the committee, that information was not there. We only received it mid last week. So we are happy to report to the committee that currently there is a South African company called Giant Film Production, which will be commencing its work to implement the agreement on the 25th of May 2026 at a budget of about just above 32 million. Work on photography and filming will start here in South Africa in Cape Town, and then work will proceed to Canada and Ireland. So that's the information we have this far. And also to request the committee to know that the full implementation of the agreement is run by our our national video, NFVF. Yes, it is run by the NFVF. But what I'm presenting now is the latest information that we have received concerning the implementation of the agreement. But we will continuously update the committee on the progress that will be made as of the 25th of May 2026. Thank you.
I think there's still one or two questions outstanding.
Chairperson, if we could be, because I was noting the questions or number of names We do have a list. Oh, yes, there was also an issue of the number of names that we are actually looking at. And thank you very much, Chairperson, for indicating that there are some of those questions that we have not. Maybe let me just indicate that what we have got as an estimate is about 955 total estimate. And then it's broken down, Chairperson, into the African continent, which comes to 895. And then outside the continent, you are looking at 60, which is the United Kingdom, USSR, Cuba, German Democratic Republic, Yugoslavia, and all those. But all in all, we are talking about 955 as an estimate of people that need to be brought back to the country. And let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing out. I think the issue of on-land mines, we did respond. We have responded to possible sponsor. We have responded to the costings. Chair, my colleagues really would come to my rescue here if there are areas that I might have missed, and they might have, I'm sure they have been taking notes. If they can come in, they can raise their hands, and then Chair can recognize them. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting DG. The issue of the agreement signed in 2026.
Okay. Maybe, Chairperson, I would then request the same colleague from International Relations to then speak to that agreement signed in 2026.
Thank you.
Ms. Koza?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. What I have reported now is happening under the agreement that has been signed in 2026, the Film Treaty Production Agreement. So the projects that have been mentioned, the project that were mentioned, are the project that were implemented under the main agreement, which was signed in 1997.
97.
Yes, it was signed in 1997. So the film production must not be seen in isolation from the main agreement, our main MOU. It's a product of the MOU, but it is specifically focusing on film production. So what
Thank
I have
you.
reported now that since it
Thank
was
you so much. Understood. The
okay.
acting DG also mentioning an important issue that some of these are just not for noting. Now, my question on behalf of the committee is where acting DG, and how do you see the oversight of the committee on the part of the post agreements being signed into force?
Thank you, Chairperson. As much as I might not be affair with all the processes of international agreements, how they done, but my understanding, Chairperson, is that these agreements sometimes they also go to Parliament. They are taken to Parliament so that the Parliament is aware of them, and then so that the Parliament can call upon us to say, we see you have got this agreement. What is happening on this agreement? And then we are able to then do an update in terms of how we are implementing those agreements. If the committee has got, suggestions in terms of or questions about those agreement, I think that that's the oversight responsibility of the.
Thank you.
Of the committee.
Thank you. Noted. We are getting somewhere in this meeting now, because I just want to also let members know the act perusing through it quick, it states that the agreements bind the Republic upon signature, typically technical or administrative in nature, do not require formal parliamentary approval prior to the entry into force, must be tabled in Parliament for transparency, do not automatically become domestic law unless incorporated through legislation. Very interesting. The Honorable Daniels.
Thank you and good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, members of Parliament, GSAC. I've got no questions to ask, but I would kindly like your indulgence just to make a few statements. You know, one always asks yourself, what if it had an effect on you personally or directly? When I've listened to this presentation, which I very much appreciate, Mr. Ndima, thank you so much for the presentation. It's as clear as daylight, and I think it's a very good presentation that you have just delivered. When we talk about African liberation heritage, as things stand, I'm reading this book, Forgotten Frontiers Men. It's a very important book. It's a book by Alf Wannenberg. And it makes you understand deeper the significance when we talk about repatriation. Because it does, as been stated earlier on by Mr. Ndima, bring back the sense of dignity. And heritage is important. Now, it's a token of respect to those people who've not been together, who's been, when the loved ones is gone, you need to bring them back, you need to bring unity amongst the families. And the repatriation does exactly that and more, bringing people to their final resting place, which then gives comfort to the families, and I think comfort to your soul and to your spirit, having been brought to your final resting place. So it's not something that we must see as an exercise, as a treaty between countries. It's something extremely significant. It's something that must be done. So I want to thank DSAC for, and the Minister, and the President, Honorable Ramaphosa, for sharing that type of values pertaining to the importance of ensuring repatriation does happen, and that we are leading in that aspect, because I'm reflecting on not so long ago, I can't remember when, but it's not too in the distant past, where DSAC has also gone and attended to repatriation. I know Scotland was one of the countries that they went to. So thank you so much for that. You know, when you bring when you do repatriation and you bring the remains back to the country, it just brings you so much together. And in conclusion, you know, I said I've got no questions. I just wanted to make these statements to signify the essence of my understanding of our jeopardies. And just coincidentally, you know, when you are no longer with someone that you've lost, if you've experienced that, someone very close to you, and I want to take this opportunity and just show you, here's the boy, my boy. Zach would have turned 21 today, but we lost him a couple of years ago, not too many years ago. And when you've experienced those kind of losses, the longing for just wanting to spend time with someone, even if it's just for a minute, and on the strength and basis of what I've just said, it gives me so much joy, knowing that we are bringing so much joy and comfort to so many families when we do the repatriation, because just the sense of bringing people together, no matter, it's two different worlds. It's the world of the living and it's the world of the dead. But you're bringing the two worlds together to the families. And I can tell you, I want to commend you guys. I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, the most dignified thing that you can do to someone. taking them to the final resting place. So thank you so much for the work that you've done. I think DSAC, you've done an amazing job. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Honorable Daniels. Acting DG, I also have, in the absence of some of our members' hands, I also want to ask pertaining to the forensic identification. Who are we using for that?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We are using the missing person task team. It consists of forensic archaeologists. They are the ones who are, the way they analyze this, it's amazing, Chairperson, because when they dig the grave, they would also be able to know that if this body structure, this should be a man because of this structure of the body and the like. And therefore, they are able to then avoid a situation where you can actually end up taking a person that you thought is a man, and yet it is. So they are well trained in that. But there are areas where, for instance, I'll just make an example, Chairperson, of the I'm just remembering this incident. Colleagues will remind me where there was the drowning of seven freedom fighters. And of course, their boat was tipped by the hippo. Then they were buried together because, they were found after a few days, but their bodies had kind of swirled, and then they couldn't fit in the coffins. They were wrapped with the blankets, and then there was a mass grave for all of them. They were put in there. Now, when we went for the exhumation, first and foremost, we confirmed these are South Africans. We knew that how these people were actually buried. They were buried without coffins. They were wrapped in blankets. And yes, the remains of blankets are still there with the bones. Now, the problem now, Chairperson.
Yeah, I think let's not go into the detail. We just wanted to know who is doing it. Is it, are these people in South Africa? I think that's enough. I attended one of these events, and looking at the families, and I realized the psychological effect these will have not only on families, also on officials, leading up to the post repatriation process. Is there any support, psychological support for families and officials?
Chair, I think that you are touching on a very important aspect. There are, within justice, we have got a unit that actually, the TRC unit, it does have psychologists that assist, more particularly the families. But you have touched on something else. And in fact, Chair, I still ask myself, the missing persons task team, how they really live with themselves. Because with Zambia and Zimbabwe, when there was still that adrenaline within the members of my team, Sarah and everybody else, it was like easy. But I can tell you the kind of depression we sank into after the project. Because now we're beginning to think clearly, we're not rushing anything. The project had been completed. But of course, from our side, Chairperson, I wouldn't say that within the department we do have that facility. The facility will be there in wellness, but sometimes we move on with another project. But you are raising a very important point in terms of post-traumatic stress that you go through even as an official. So yes, in terms of families, justice does help. Within the department, there's wellness that is provided, but I doubt any of our colleagues have gone through that wellness, because after that project, you have to move to another assignment. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, members. I'm going to ask members in the following order: the Honorable Mataung, by Honorable Potgieter, Honorable Daniels.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. Chair, this is a great initiative whereby the two countries, Angola and South Africa, doing the repatriation. It's a good thing, and I think this brings more closure to families who don't know their great grandfathers or great grandmothers where they were buried, and we're still crying about a lot of them whom we haven't found till to date. But one important question that I want to pose to the department is, when they choose a production house on both ends, which is Angola and South Africa, who will be filming this historical of the repatriation in terms of the landmarks and everything, will the families benefit from this documentary or film that will be done? That's my second question. And the other question is more based on, when these bodies are coming, are they going to do a memorial for them at one place? Or, because of the reason why I'm saying this, I think about 2 to 3 years back, let me say 4 years back, there was a repatriation of some of the African National Congress or guerrillas or MK guerrillas who were repatriated back to South Africa, and families, they were given a stipend or money to bury their loved ones, and obviously the dignitaries of the organization, which is the ANC, was supposed to come and make sure that they are buried with dignity. But after that, you'll find out that those families, after the burial has been done, those families will be left behind without any compensation that will be left behind. But whenever it comes to the documentaries, everything will be flighted, will be sold on Netflix, will be sold on Showmax. So the production houses or whoever has signed the Memorandum of Agreement are the only ones that are going to pocket the money. So when we involve families, in terms of the documentary, is there any documentation that these families will sign in case of they will be filmed when receiving their, whether it could be ashes or bones? And if these funerals are going to be done, are they going to get any compensation in that regards? I thank you, Chairperson.
The department.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Maybe let me just start by asking the first question from Honorable Mataung. Yes. The filming that is done from our side, we are using the South African Heritage Resources Agency, which is a state entity. SARA is a state entity which is just documenting this heritage for current and future generations, not for any commodification or commercialization. It's just for, like, you are documenting, you are archiving something so that in future, if people want to have access, they can have access. So we have not gotten into those areas where we're working with film companies that then do this for commercial purposes. So we have got that documentary that Sarah has done with regards to the first repatriation. Even now, with all the visits to Angola, they've also been with us. Now, if there is one space where there's going to be a memorial, we are currently, at the ceremony, a homecoming ceremony in 2024 on the 27th, Chairperson, the Honorable President gave the task to our Honorable Minister to explore the idea of a Heroes Acre. As I speak to the Portfolio Committee, we have already started that feasibility study, because a project of that nature would require feasibility study. So we are at the feasibility study stage, where this National Heroes Acre, we will get the sense of how best we can implement that. The issues of compensation, Honorable Motaung, it then doesn't fall within the mandate of the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. I spoke about work streams under the presidential task team. There are those that also deal with pensions and education schemes for the children of the fallen heroes and heroines. So that is dealt with by the Department of Military Veterans. Ours really is just to look at the issue of memorialization. It's an issue of exhumation and reburials, and of course, ensuring that we honor those who suffered for our freedom. So that's how far I can. And Chairperson, whilst I'm still on the floor, I was talking about Livingston in Zambia. The people just were drowned in Zambezi River. I thought that let me just indicate that. And then one of my colleagues has assisted me with the company and the agency in Argentina that is actually assisting us with the DNA testing is the Argentine Forensic Anthropology Team Genetic Laboratory in Cordoba, Argentina. That's where some of our remains have gone there for final verification. I don't know whether I've missed it.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. Okay, Chair, this will come to my last, I think, question, because of when we do the kinds of the Heroes Act, number one, where we bring all our heroes and everyone, this is taking me to what is happening to the Sarah Baartman saga, whereby we'll make promises to say we might do the Heroes Act for these fallen soldiers of ours who've been repatriated back to the country. But in my fear is now at the present moment, since we're also sitting with the Sarah Baartman saga, which is not finished, and again we repatriate our heroes, bring them back to South Africa. What measures or that the department will do in order for these families not to find themselves going to this Heroes Act that will be promised to be built for their loved ones, and it will take decades, and what sort of things that the department have put in place at the present moment? Because remember, you just said now the bones with the forensics at the present moment, but by the time the bodies come this side, where are they heading? Are they heading to the Heroes Act that you have already identified? And if so, can't we get that thing on a black and white paper to say where is it going to take place and which space that you think you have identified, so that we know that whoever that is going to get a contract again, which companies that you have done audits to say, or vetted to say they can do this kind of work for the people that will be repatriated to South Africa. I thank you so much, Chairperson. No further questions.
Thank you, the department.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think that I note the point, that very important point that is raised by Honorable Mutaung about, the delays that have happened with regards to Sarah Parkman. But in this case, the Honorable Mutaung is also just saying those people who are going to be returned after the DNA testing, where are they going? At this point in time, Chairperson, people are going to be buried where their families wish. Because even the idea of a hero's acre, Chairperson and honorable members, it's a space where we would want to honor those who, of course, in fact, the hero's acre, as we look at it now, it's not just going to be confined to those who fought for freedom, but it's for all the South Africans who were pioneers in different areas of life, because that's how we would want to conceptualize the hero's acre, not heroism only through military forms, but heroism in a much more broader sense. If you have been a scientist, the best scientist in South Africa, to have done something, if your family wishes so, because also that is going to be based on the wishes of the family. So that's how the hero's acre is conceptualized. And of course, Honorable Chairperson, we will present the report. I think we have got an inception report at this point in time. It's still at the very early stages. But once that has been done, we will then be able to come and account to Parliament about it. And of course, we will indicate exactly who has been appointed to do that. So that's how I would like to respond to this question, Chairperson.
Thank you. The last member on this issue will be the Honorable Potgieter.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, I must say the forensic process fascinates me, and a piece of useless information. Honorable Daniels is always sharing about himself, but I battled between forensics and law. I took law, but one of my major electives was forensic medicine. So I find this subject completely fascinating. And Chairperson, if you'll indulge me, at some stage, within reasonable, means and legitimate means, it might be worthwhile doing an oversight visit, if possible, or an engagement with the forensic task team to understand the complexities around what they do, the time it takes to identify these remains. But what also concerns me is the skills that are missing in this country, because that is a huge issue. We should really be kind of engaging with our other portfolios on, increasing the capacity within the country to be able to do this. I'm assuming it would be a lot cheaper and a lot quicker for us to be able to do it. But I really would support, Chair, and maybe for those of us with stronger constitutions, that if we could have some sort of an engagement or an oversight, I think it would be quite beneficial. But having said that, I just want to understand with regards to your budget, because it does seem quite low with the amounts of or the estimated remains that you're dealing with. I think you mentioned 955. I'd like to understand what kind of cost you look at per person. I know it's quite difficult because you're going to different countries and having to bring them back, and also the time frame that it takes you with regards to these forensic processes. Perhaps you don't have that information on hand, but it would be quite interesting to understand, so that we can, in terms of oversight, understand what a 7.9 million rand budget or a 10 million rand budget means in relation to the cost of trying to repatriate, one individual. If you can possibly give us more info on that. I'd also like to understand, you stated that the sponsor, the Angolan sponsor that you had, decided that they couldn't proceed once they understood the financial implications were a lot larger than what they originally estimated. But you also said that procurement processes didn't apply because you had a sponsor. So I'm trying to understand, is there a sponsor, or is the sponsor pulled out, which would still leave my procurement question alive, if I could get a response to that. And then with regards to the, just want to check my notes here. With regards to the costs, I'm not clear on the financial implications with regards to South Africa carrying the total cost of the project in Angola. If the asset is being handed over to Angola, who will then maintain it and it will be protected by them and it will belong to them, why do we not have a cost-sharing commitment there? It doesn't make sense for us to spend budget outside of our country, for the benefit of other countries. I get that we have international relations and all sorts of lovely things that we need to adhere to. But we also have, people within this country who very much need these funds. So I'm trying to understand what was the negotiation with the Angolan government in respect to this particular agreement. And then, Chair, if the National Film and Video Foundation is directly responsible for the implementation of the Canada Treaty, will they then appear before the committee with the department in order to account directly for that particular agreement? Because I'd like to understand the sort of, accountability line so that we know where we need to ask our question. And then lastly, with regards to the 30 projects, I would very much appreciate a list and values when you are able to give those. The only thing that concerns me about not having the values readily available is that I'd ask why the department updated the treaty or the agreement before they had a full value for money assessment of the 30 projects that had happened previously. I would have assumed that you would have a readily available financial assessment of that so that you'd be able to say, yes, this is why we're going to carry on with the agreement, or reinvigorate it because we had, X financial benefit from it. Thank you, Chair.
The department.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to the question. In fact, let me first and foremost welcome the suggestion by Honorable Potgieter of really wanting to interact with our forensic archaeologists. We would really, really appreciate, and even if there could be any kind of oversight that you might just want to take, so that you can really just see the kind of work that is involved in this. And really, for me, I can't agree more with that chairperson. It would really be a pleasure. I'm sure that even our missing person task team members would love to host members of parliament as they do some of the work. We can then just see how we can synergize the program so that you can really just see for yourself firsthand. Now, in terms of the Angolan sponsor, it was not necessarily an Angolan sponsor. Maybe I might have not been heard correctly. It is a South African business person who is doing work in Angola. That was the idea, that people who are doing some work in Angola, they might be in mining business or the like. But of course, and the question that maybe that's the first answer. It was not someone from Angola, someone from South Africa, because we are bringing back South Africans back to South Africa. Then, secondly, do we have a sponsor at this point in time? No, Honorable Potgieter, because of the amount of money that was involved. So we don't have any guarantee of any support at this point in time. That's why we're saying now we just have to review the project. And I think you have raised a very important point about why didn't we share the cost. But I think from our side at that point in time, because there was an issue of a sponsor in mind, it was like saying this could be our thank you kind of to the Angolans for having really hosted our freedom fighters during those times. So that was an idea, but it's a fair question that the Honorable Potgieter is raising. The NFVF, yes, Chairperson, the NFVF is within your sphere of influence.
Before you go to that,
yes,
the project is DPWI involved in that project.
This one, the one for
Angola.
Yes, no, because it was going to be privately done by a sponsor, not by a government. So the DPWI was not part of the project.
Is there any economic benefits that derive from the construction?
If this was being done, because I'm saying that we don't have a sponsor as we speak now, Chairperson. So if this was to be done, I guess there would have been some benefit for South Africa, but more for Angolans, because the actual brick and mortar was going to be done, and I'm even overstating it when I say brick and mortar, because it was more like refurbishing that particular space. It was more going to be the Angolans who would do that. But as a gesture of appreciation from our side, this is how we were just looking at it at that point in time. But the answer is we don't have a sponsor as we speak. We have to rethink the project. We have to then see how best we can. Are we continuing with the same project? Are we doing just one monument in Angola in memory of the people that you are trying to thank?
Mr. Ndima, there's also this public notion that we shouldn't pay for things, that we shouldn't pay for. And just for the committee and their oversight, are you in a position to inform the committee about negotiation teams and principals who are involved in all of these negotiations and agreements?
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. The negotiations between the two countries, more particularly if you look at the MOU, Chairperson, of course, the content gets developed by the technical staff, which will be us, the department, as well as the Angolan officials. And then international relations gets involved, because there's nothing that we do which is international without a DECO. Because when that gets signed, DECO would have looked at the contents of that, whether it's in line with the constitution of the country, whether it is in line with all the rules, regulations, and legislation of the country. So it is done by officials of both countries, including those officials that have got content knowledge in terms of sport, arts, and culture, and then international relations, embassies that understand protocols that govern these instruments. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I'm going to Honorable Daniels, members, note the comment by the acting DG that it is indeed so that cultural heritage promote tourism, and Mr. Ndima has just rightfully considered that this will benefit Angola. So we have to look into that. Honorable Potgieter, wrap up, and finally Honorable Daniels.
I would just like to get a firm commitment from the department, because, I mean, essentially, I think, this memorial also emanates from South Africa's assistance to Angola when they needed it. If anything, I would think that the thank yous would come from them. And I do think that if in the absence of a sponsor, that this be renegotiated and re-looked at. I know we don't have the power to issue that instruction, but I would maybe plead with them to go back. And he has sort of implied that. But I do think that the benefit should strongly rest on the shoulders of South Africa, that it should have some substantial benefit to our people, and not be solely in the benefit of Angola. So I would really plead with them to go back and look at that if possible, Chair.
Thank you so much for that, Honorable Potgieter. The Honorable Daniels.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I note that in the presentation on more than one occasion, quite a few times, there's reference made to struggle stalwarts. Now, when my submissions or comments is viewed as irrelevant, I'm not surprised that it comes from someone that was irrelevant when it came to the struggle, who cannot share the sunshine of those of us who were subjected to the engineering of apartheid, and in particularly when such comments are made by Honorable Member Potgieter. I'm not surprised, because she is indeed the campaign manager for Helen Zille. So
Sorry,
I
Chair,
expect
I'm
that
going to raise an objection here. Chair.
there's no objection there, and the fact
Honorable
No, there is an
Daniels,
objection,
can I
Chair.
just hear what the
all right, let's
objection
listen
is
to the
about?
nonsense she's going to spew here, Chairperson, because you
Let
cannot.
me give an opportunity to Honorable Potgieter to raise the objection. Honorable Potgieter.
Chairperson, I never implied anything about Honourable Daniels. I don't appreciate the attack on me. I never mentioned anything about his past or struggle or anything to that effect. And I take great offence to the fact that he's attacking me on this platform. I merely mentioned the fact that I appreciated that he shared personal details about himself, which helped the committee understand him in previous committee meetings. I appreciate that fact, but I do not appreciate being attacked for stating that. I in no way diminished any part of his life or experiences. And I do not think that this meeting is about myself nor any of his animosity that he's directing at me. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Potgieter. Honorable Daniels, indeed, the Honorable Member has actually shown appreciation for your input and your experience. Please proceed, Honorable Daniels.
Chairperson, I have one question. During the presentation, a statement was made that there's no place in South Africa that can do these particular DNA tests, and that now they've gone to Argentina. Chairperson, maybe 10 years ago, on or about, there was a 7 or 8-year-old boy by the name of Ricolin Witboy who disappeared, and his family was looking for him for many months. You can Google the name Ricolin Witboy. And one Sunday, many months later, the boy turned 8 while he was 7 when he disappeared. He turned 8 while he was still missing. And before he turned 9, there was a dog walking over a field with a bone in his mouth. And somebody said, but that looks like a human hand. I got called, police came, we found some of the bones laying around there, as white as snow, dry bones. And because the family wasn't sure whether it is the remains of their child, Ricolin, SAP said it will take them about 9 months to do the DNA test. And I said, no, you cannot subject this family who's been searching for this boy for so long to still a waiting period of 9 months for you to come back and confirm if it is indeed the remains of Ricolin. I had to pay for those tests myself because I said, let's go private. And there's a place, I cannot remember if it's Stellenbosch or if it's in Wellington, but there's a place somewhere in the Western Cape. I remember the name of the laboratory where the tests were done, but I don't want to disclose the name of the laboratory because I'm not promoting a particular laboratory. It may even be a private lab, and then I'm going to have got some shares there. But I know that arrangements were then made with the bones, whichever they could find, was sent to this particular laboratory, and within 5 days, they came back and positively identified the remains as those belonging to Ricolin Witboy. So my question is then, if the presentation speaks to there's only in Argentina a place that they found to do these tests, are they aware? Maybe not. Or have they approached this particular lab? It's either Wellington, somewhere around there. Have they approached this particular laboratory to have these tests done or find out if they will do these tests, because they could help me and that particular family back then and do the tests. They are so good in what they're doing, because when we were planning the funeral after the confirmation came that it is indeed the remains of Ricola Witbooi, the lab called me because my details were with him and said, you know what we forgot to do and we really apologize. There's still a small little nail from one of the fingers or something. There was a little nail that they picked up probably in the sand when they sent the remains, but they didn't return the nail. So they stopped that funeral because the mum said, I'm not burying my child or the remains thereof, knowing there's still a nail of my child at the laboratory. So my question then is, did the department at least do the due diligence, or were they not aware of such institution right here on our doorstep that they could have used? Because I'm just thinking, if it's right here where we are, then maybe it can also expedite processes so that we can get to the point of finding closure quicker. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you. That is sound information from Honorable Daniels. The acting DG, are you aware of such institutions within South Africa?
No, Chairperson, and thank you very much. Let me just say, Chairperson, we were very frustrated, I must say, as a department, with the time that is taking to deal with Livingston 7 and other human remains. And the missing person task team also had tried to, work with SAPS to see if they can really deal with these particular human remains. But the answer that we got was that you're talking about very, very old bones here, which have got nothing, but also you don't have, I mean, maybe the case of which the Honorable Daniel is sharing with us is in a situation where maybe you could start looking at the proximity of that hand and maybe the body. Then the forensic archaeologists are able to piece that together. But in the case where everything is mixed, it requires higher levels of capability in terms of identifying the real identity of a person. So in a nutshell, Chairperson, we are being guided by MPTT. They indicated to us that those capabilities are not here. In fact, SAP is still trying to build those capabilities. But we couldn't, of course, then wait. And one is looking forward to a situation where these capabilities are in South Africa so that we can rely on ourselves whenever we're dealing with this particular project. Thank you.
Great. Members, I'm going to close the subject. I would advise and ask members if there's any other questions to do so in writing. We still have half an hour left. We still need to deal with the minutes. I have also agreed to bring up another point which I also don't want us to debate because it is not part of the agenda, but it is a issue of concern, and I again don't want to, like Tuesday, put the acting DG on the spot. I have seen that the CFO has joined, and perhaps I would like to formulate and bring it a little bit up, that issue. I want to formulate, but the Honorable Monachani must assist because it's her idea. Formulate and request that the portfolio committee need an urgent list of federations that has not received their monies yet. It should be either from our side, Honorable Monachani, directed to the department, or it could be either from our side directing to all federations, but I am not sure. And I doubt that we will have the manpower to deal with that in that fashion. I will therefore now, before we're going to do the minutes, ask the Honorable Molatsani to formulate a request that the acting DG take note and communicate this to the Dr. Kumalo, and as well that the CFO, while he is in our presence, also take note of that. I'm now giving an opportunity to Honorable Molatsani to formulate a request on this particular matter. And I would like to state again that we will not have any discussions pertaining to this matter. The Honorable Molatan.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon again, Chair, to you and honorable members, professional staff, as well as the SEC. Chairperson, I will request that the CFO send us a list of all the entities that have received their allocation of 2025-26. And then the same thing, I will request that on our side, maybe the secretary write a letter or email to all the entities in order for them to confirm if they have received their allocations for 2025-2026. The reason I'm requesting to get information on both sides is because we were sitting there as the PC, knowing that all the entities have received their allocation, only to find that on Tuesday, CSA did not receive, and then SASCOP did not receive. So possibly there are so many other entities out there who did not receive what they were supposed to receive. And the department said to us, we have sent allocations to all the entities. And Chairperson, it was so embarrassing. I think after receiving the report, if I may add, Chairperson, the department, I don't know who in the department will have to be taken to task about this matter. Whoever in the department will have to account, Chairperson. I think it's time that we cannot keep on saying we'll do this and then we don't do it. After receiving all the necessary information, Chairperson, from the entities as well as from the department, finding that there are entities which did not receive their allocation, but the department has said that they have received their allocation. I am going to open a case, Chairperson. I am going to open a case regarding that, because we can't be sitting here, Chairperson, being told this has happened, only to find that something like that, it did not happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I see, is that the hand of the CFO? I'm going to allow you. I don't want us to discuss it, but your input might be valuable.
Yes, no, thanks very much, and a good day to the chair and the members. I just want to confirm that Honorable Moletsane, when you say entity, are we talking about federations? The list.
Federations, yes.
Oh, federation, okay. And then you are saying what was paid for 25-26. Just want to make sure.
We want to know the federations that have received their allocation 25-26.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Mataung, what point are you raising on?
Chairperson, no, I wanted to support Memoletsane on that. To say we not only need a spreadsheet of from only the department, we also need to find out the dates. When did they send the money to these federations? And also, if the support staff could also finish us with the entities or the federations to say the proof of payment did appear on them on this day, then if it's possible, they can also print us that documentation to say this is what was allocated to them, this is what was given to them, so that at least we can have two comparison to compare the ones with the department and compare the ones that the federation have sent to us. That way we will be able to move forward. And again, Chairperson, I think I think Honorable Mlozane, what is saying is very important. Even on when we will start our meetings, I think we need to table this starting from the allocations of monies and we ask these federations that are coming forward to us before we even start our meetings. We need to ask them directly, did you guys receive your allocations from 2025, 2026? If they say yes, by that time at least we'll be having a proof. So let's send everything to all the federations that we have to say, can we have a proof of payment that was sent by the department towards you guys? That way we'll be able to work smoothly and swiftly. And if we have to hold the department accountable when they say they did send money, remember this is coming from SASCOC, whereby they were busy crying about the 12,000 that was not in, but the department said, no, we gave you 12,000. But Omberi said, no, that 12,000 was for the games that money was allocated for. So we need to find out that money that was allocated for SASCOC, was it money for the federation or was it money for the games that were taking in place for whether it could be for Bafana, could be for any activities that they were doing, but we need that on black and white. I submit and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. May I use this opportunity then also to say thank you to the department who has briefed us on these engagements. It is really appreciated. And please take note of the concern of what has been raised as well and the message to the powers that be. If the department would like to leave this meeting, you are much welcome. We are going to deal with minutes now. If you would like to stay in this meeting, you are more welcome as well. With that said, thank you so much, Mr. Ndima and your team. And I am now going to call upon the Portfolio Secretary that we can start with the minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you to the honorable members of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, we have in front of us the minutes of 21 April held in the NCOP. Can we go page 1? Page 2? Page 3? I call upon members to stop, indicate which page you would like to make a rectification. Page 4, page 5,
I think
6.
I've went through this set of minutes. According to me, everything is in order.
Thank you so much. There is a proposal. Is there a seconder?
I propose
second.
The Honorable Batong second. Please just indicate the next meeting, Portfolio Secretary.
28th of April, Chair.
Yes, please proceed. Page 1. Just ensure those who is going to propose and second that you are part and parcel of this meeting. Page 2, Ajabule. Page 3. Page 4.
Chair, I'm trying to remember. I think there are minutes where it's only just a spelling error. I don't remember if this is the second minute or the third minute. Yes. Can we just move slowly on this one? I saw the spelling error when I was going through these minutes.
Okay, can we go slow?
That's the government. The government.
Is it?
No, it was government, but with a capital G.
Oh. But let's go slow. The next page. The next page.
It's the last page, Chair.
The last page. Can we get a...
Oh, it's fine, Chair, but I think I will remember, just that I didn't take note when I was going through these minutes. I went through these minutes, but I didn't take note on that spelling error. I remember there's only one spelling error, but the content, it's fine, Chairperson. I will propose for the adoption of this minutes, Chair.
The Honorable Molatani proposed. Is there a seconder?
A second.
Honorable Mataung, second. Has that been all?
Yeah. Two.
There must be more.
We've got the 7th and the 8th, Chair.
The 7th. Okay, let's go with the 7th. Page 1, page 2, please indicate, members. Recommendations, list of abbreviations. Is that the last page?
Yes.
Yes, Chair.
Can we get a proposer and a seconder?
I propose.
The Honorable Mataung proposed. Any seconder?
Second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. The 8th. Is this the last one?
Yes, Chair.
The 8th. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Last page. Proposal and a seconder, honorable members.
I propose.
Honorable Musa proposed. Seconder. Who's that?
Honorable Nkosi.
Honorable Nkosi. Honorable members.
Chairperson,
Honorable Molatani.
can I say something before you close the meeting?
Just a second, Honorable Molatani. So we are done with this. Honorable Molatani.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, what I want to raise is that, you know, this thing of saying to the entities or the federations that appear on the portfolio committee to request them to send information within this period of time. And then you'll find that, like for now, we are still receiving the information of March, and it's almost mid-May. And some of the issues, one already forgets what was discussed. Why did we request that information? Chair, I don't know what needs to be done. I think Chair saw my frustrations yesterday, that we need to have this response by the date that we've mentioned as the portfolio committee. You can't send me information of January in May. Already we've moved. I even forgot what was discussed in January. Why did we request that information? Really, Chair, can you stress it in the meeting that federations need to send information on the date that we've requested them to send? Otherwise, this is so frustrating, Chairperson. It's really so frustrating. And it's painful for me to always to write email on you, knowing that you and the staff, you are not on the wrong side. The department has failed us. Whoever who has come to the portfolio has failed us to submit information before the cutoff of date. I think there's something that we need to do as the department chairperson. It can't be right. You are requesting the information. It's May. You are still receiving the information of March.
Yeah, thank you. I take note of that, Honorable Malatsani. May I just reaffirm that and also simultaneously congratulate the professional staff member for their work in this regard, because the only thing that we can do from our side is to remind TSEC. But I had a personal discussion with the individual mainly responsible for this information. And the what I could have assessed was that, you know, it almost seems that he is like the reporter of the reporters if he does not get the information. So as a result, I think with our previous meeting was that we have take a decision that we as a committee will have I almost want to say one-on-one with the minister and Dr. Kumalo, so that we can deal with it. But as a committee, we should also be fair to the departments as well as federations to give them ample time. We normally, I think, the portfolio secretaries is either 7 days or 14 days. We normally give them, that opportunity to respond. And I don't want to, call or being directly involved. And the amount of emails, of reminders, I must tell you, it is tremendous. It is, it is actually frustrating every time when you see there's a letter, please comply, please comply, please comply. And we also try to that members see this and get this up front, so that, whatever they want, they have to send to us. But to a certain extent, in terms of the submissions, it must happen after meetings. And it is also my wish that we must minimize some of these. But it is something that I think we can also, during our training, the week of that we would like to set apart for planning, that we can have a discussion with this. Honorable members, it is the first time that we are within our time in a very long time. I want to congratulate every member for their contributions in this particular meeting. And I would like then to declare this meeting as adjourned. Thank you for everyone's contribution. Thank you to the professional staff and everyone. The meeting stands adjourned.
You killed me there. I wanted to ask something, but it's fine.
Don't leave the chair.
Thank you. Long live the chair.
The chair robbed me there.
Don't
It's
leave
fine.
the chair.